January 27th, 1940, 0347 hours. Sergeant Thomas Whittaker stood beside a requisitioned Fordson tractor fitted with a makeshift plough blade, watching snow accumulate at RAF Bircham Newton at 3 inches per hour, temperature -11 Celsius, wind speed 35 knots. The runway, the only operational fighter base within range of German reconnaissance flights over the North Sea, had 18 inches of packed snow and ice. Standard procedure said, wait for the storm to pass, ground all aircraft, suspend operations until conditions improved. The Air Ministry had other plans. In the next 14 hours, Whittaker and a hastily assembled team of ground crew, farmers and civilian volunteers would pioneer the first systematic military snow clearing operation in RAF history. They'd keep fighters operational during a critical intelligence window, develop techniques that would become classified doctrine, and prove that winter weather didn't have to ground the RAF. This is the story of Britain's secret snowplow operations in 1940 and how keeping runways clear changed aerial warfare. The winter nobody expected. The winter of 1939-40 caught Britain unprepared. The first winter of the war. Everyone expected fighting. Nobody expected the coldest January in 45 years. By late January 1940, temperatures across eastern England had dropped to -15 Celsius. Snow fell continuously for 6 days. RAF bases, designed for temperate British weather, had no snow removal equipment, no doctrine for winter operations, no training. The result? Grounded aircraft, cancelled patrols, intelligence gaps. RAF Bircham Newton was critical. Located on the Norfolk coast, it housed No. 206 Squadron, twin-engine Avro Ansons tasked with reconnaissance over the North Sea. Their mission: track German naval movements, spot invasion preparations, photograph coastal defences, but you can't fly reconnaissance missions from a snow-covered runway. On January 26th, the blizzard hit. By midnight, the main runway at Bircham Newton was unusable. 18 inches of snow, drifts reaching 4 feet in exposed areas. The Ansons, already underpowered, couldn't possibly take off. Squadron leader James Blackwood received orders from Fighter Command at 0200 hours on January 27th. Maintain operational readiness. Critical intelligence window 0800-1600 hours. German fleet movements expected. Blackwood looked at the runway, looked at the snow still falling, looked at his grounded squadron. He called for Sergeant Whittaker. Improvisation under pressure. Thomas Whittaker was 34 years old. Pre-war farmer, poor farmer from Lincolnshire. Joined the RAF Volunteer Reserve in 1938. Ground crew supervisor, mechanic, problem solver. He'd cleared snow from farm fields, never from a military runway under operational pressure. Blackwood's orders were simple. Clear the main runway by 0800. I need at least 800 yards operational, do whatever it takes. Whittaker had 6 hours, no equipment, no manual, no precedent. He started with what he knew. Farm equipment moved snow. The RAF had tractors. Fordson models commandeered for towing aircraft and equipment. Whittaker found 3 serviceable tractors in the motor pool. First problem, no plows. He improvised. Welded steel plates scavenged from damaged aircraft to tractor front ends. Crude V-shaped blades, angle, approximately 40 degrees. Not elegant, but functional. Second problem, ice. The runway wasn't just snow, it was packed ice underneath. Ploughing pushed snow aside but left ice. Aircraft couldn't operate on ice. Whittaker remembered something from farming: salt. He located the base kitchen stores, commandeered 200 pounds of table salt, mixed it with coal ash from the heating systems, spread it by hand behind the tractors. It worked. Slowly, but it worked. Third problem, manpower. Whittaker had 12 ground crew available. Not enough to clear 800 yards of runway in 6 hours. He needed bodies. He found them. Conscripted every available person on the base. Cooks, clerks, drivers, even pulled pilots out of the officers' mess. 47 men total, armed them with shovels and fin clearing teams. The operation began at 0400 hours, the race against dawn. 3 tractors worked in formation. Lead tractor ploughed the centre line. 2 wing tractors cleared edges. Behind them, teams of men shoveled displaced snow completely off the runway. More teams spread salt ash mixture. Others broke ice chunks with pickaxes. Progress, approximately 50 yards per hour. Whittaker needed 800 yards cleared in 4 hours to meet the 0800 deadline. The math didn't work. At 0530, they'd cleared 50 yards. Still snowing, still dark, still freezing. Whittaker adjusted. Instead of clearing the entire runway width, he focused on a single operational strip, 20 yards wide, enough for an Anson to take off if the pilot was skilled and brave. New rate, 75 yards per hour, still not enough. At 06:45, with 450 yards cleared, the snow stopped. Temperature dropped further, -13°C, but visibility improved. The men worked faster. Desperation and cold drove them. 07:30, 650 yards clear. 07:45, 780 yards. 0800, 820 yards of usable runway. Ice still present but manageable, surface rough but operational. Squadron leader Blackwood inspected the work, made a decision. He'd fly the first sortie on himself, test the runway personally rather than risk a junior pilot. 08:14. Blackwood's Anson taxied onto the cleared strip, engine noise echoing off the frozen base. He advanced throttle. The aircraft moved, slowly, struggling for traction on the icy surface. It lifted off with maybe 30 yards of runway remaining. The intelligence mission launched on time, the system nobody recorded. Whittaker's improvised snow-clearing operation on January 27th wasn't recorded in official RAF logs. It was an emergency response, not doctrine, not official, but it worked. Over the next 6 weeks, as the brutal winter of 1940 continued, Whittaker refined his methods. The Air Ministry noticed. Quietly, they sent observers to Bircham Newton, took notes, photographed the equipment. By March in 40, Whittaker's techniques had spread to other RAF bases, still unofficial, still improvised, but spreading through word of mouth and necessity. The key innovations, tractor-mounted plows, became standard improvised equipment at forward bases, salt ash mixture for ice control, layered clearing teams. Priority zoning, don't clear the entire runway, clear the minimum operational strip first. None of this was revolutionary. Morrison would develop more sophisticated systems 7 years later in 1947, but in 1940, this was cutting edge for military aviation. The classified legacy. By late 1940, as the Battle of Britain intensified, winter runway operations had become critical. The Luftwaffe didn't stop bombing because of snow. RAF fighters had to remain operational regardless of weather. The Air Ministry issued classified guidance in October 1940. Winter runway maintenance protocols, based directly on Whittaker's January improvisation. The document remained classified until 1968. Key directives: all RAF stations to maintain snow removal equipment. Salt and grit stockpiles is mandatory at forward bases. Designated snow removal teams to be trained before winter. Priority system: fighters first, bombers second, training aircraft last. The guidance worked. During the winter of 1940-41, RAF operational availability remained above 70% despite heavy snowfall. German operational availability in the same period dropped to approximately 45%. The difference: Britain had learned to fight in winter. Germany hadn't. The forgotten Sergeant Thomas Whittaker continued serving at RAF Bircham Newton through in 42. Promoted to Flight Sergeant. Awarded a mention in dispatches in 1941. Citation classified. Specific action not recorded. He likely never knew it was for snow removal. He transferred to RAF Maintenance Command in 43. Served through the war. Demobilised in 46. Returned to farming in Lincolnshire. Died in 97 at age 71. His obituary mentioned his RAF service, didn't mention January 27th, 1940, but the systems he pioneered that morning, the improvised plows, the salt mixture, the systematic clearing teams, those became foundational to RAF winter operations doctrine. By 1942, every RAF base in Britain had dedicated snow removal equipment and trained teams. Modern RAF winter operations still use principles Whittaker developed: priority zoning, layered clearing, chemical de-icing, dedicated equipment. The specifics have changed. The tractors are now specialised vehicles. The salt is industrial grade. The teams are professional. But the core idea remains: winter weather doesn't ground aircraft. Unprepared bases ground aircraft. Whittaker proved that on a frozen runway in Norfolk in January 1940. The broader impact. The secret snowplow operations of 1940 influenced more than just the RAF. By 1941, the concept had spread to the Royal Navy, keeping aircraft carrier decks operational in North Atlantic winter conditions. To the Army, maintaining supply routes through winter terrain. By WW2, as the Allies prepared for operations in Europe, winter logistics had become a science. The brutal winter of 1944-45, the Battle of the Bulge period, saw Allied forces maintain operational capability while German forces struggled. Part of that success traced back to lessons learned in 1940. Keep the routes open, keep the equipment moving, don't wait for perfect conditions. January 27, 1940 wasn't dramatic. No combat, no casualties, no glory, just a ground crew sergeant with 3 tractors and 47 men clearing 820 yards of frozen runway in 4 hours so intelligent missions could fly. But that's how wars are won. Not through dramatic battles, through logistics, through maintenance, through refusing to let weather dictate operations. Standard procedure said wait for the storm to pass. Sergeant Whittaker cleared the runway instead. Squadron leader Blackwood flew his mission, gathered intelligence on German fleet movements, returned safely. The war continued. The snow melted. The improvised systems became doctrine. Nobody remembers January 27, 1940. The day is lost to history. The official records don't mention it. The classified guidance that grew from it was declassified decades later and promptly ignored. But every RAF runway cleared of snow carries Whittaker's legacy. Every winter operation that maintains flying capability. Every pilot who takes off from a cleared runway in winter conditions. They are using systems pioneered by a farmer-turned-sergeant who solved an immediate problem with available tools and refused to accept that snow meant grounded aircraft. That's infrastructure. That's military logistics. That's how you fight a war in winter. The blizzard ended. The mission succeeded. The doctrine changed, and nobody knew it happened.